Hi class, this lecture will cover the midterm. So let me go ahead and turn to Canvas. Okay, so the midterm will be due on Friday before midnight. And essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be building upon what we talked about last week. So you're going to be picking one story or two stories, and then you're going to be kind of looking at it through a literary lens, whether it's feminist theory or psychoanalytical theory or queer and gender theory, whatever it might be that you want to look at it through. It's going to be a short paper, just 3 pages, and you're really going to be exploring like meaning and pulling what the story means through the lens, right? And keep in mind too that the author is not writing through the lens. You are looking at the author's work through the lens. So the author is not writing through the lens of feminist criticism, but you, the reader and the writer, are going to be deconstructing the story through the lens, right? So anyway, so what you're going to want to do is you want to look back over my lectures from last week, definitely read up on the different criticisms to figure out which one you want to use. You can, if you do use an outside source aside from my lectures, you're going to have to cite it. So, give Purdue OWL or Wikipedia credit for your information that you've gathered about that lens. You're going to want to introduce the lens in the introduction. I will be looking at the short story through this lens. This is what the lens is, and kind of explain it a little bit for the reader. And then you're going to also want to have one scholarly article from either Google Scholar or the Skyline database. So if you look back, I did provide a whole list of the collection of short stories and the articles associated. If you don't like any of these or none of them really work, you can go back and you can search through the library search engine. You can also look through Google Scholar. One good thing about using the library one is if for some reason you're just really having trouble finding something, you just quickly go to the chat with librarian and they can help you find any kind of scholarly article you might need. Okay, so that could help you. So you also want to think about the midterm is kind of a prep for essay 2. So you're going to turn it in over the break. I'm going to read them and give you guys a lot of feedback, and then you're going to turn the midterm into essay 3. So it's just a really great way for me to give you as much feedback as I can so that your essay 3 is super strong. All right. And there's a bunch of other kind of help that you can look at, resources that I've posted on essay 2 if you want to apply that to the midterm. But essentially, it's just a shorter version of your essay 2. You also do not need a conclusion for your midterm. I'm not asking for one. It's slightly informal. You are going to need a works cited page, though. So, you want to cite the story itself. And the same thing goes for every time you do a works cited page. You always start with the author's, author's last name, first name, right? And then the title. All the short stories should have quotation marks around them because they're short stories. Where you got it, so wherever that place is. So you got the text, the URL, and then the date accessed. This is how we always do it. So let's say that we're gonna, that you're talking about, the hunger artist, right? So if we go back to Canvas, if you look, I actually did that for you already. So you can kind of look at, if you look at the essay 2 checklist, you can apply this to the midterm as well as far as how to structure it. But at the very bottom, as soon as this loads, sorry guys. Come on. There we go. At the very bottom, I've included how to do this. So you've got, Kafka, Franz, and then the title, and then where we got it. This was from our Canvas site, the URL, so I just copy and pasted it, and then the day we accessed it. Okay, it's the same for everything. Now, let's say that you're going to be citing the literary theory from Purdue OWL, right? So the way you would do this is Purdue OWL is the author. So you'd put that there, and then the title would be kind of the title of the article page. So this is Literary Theory and Schools of Criticism. I'm just going to pick one. Let's just pick Marxist. And so it's titled Marxist Criticism. So okay, and I got it from Purdue OWL. Right, and then because it's a publication, we are going to be not, and then I'm going to take the URL. This is really easy. You just copy and paste it from there. and then access date. So I accessed it on, what's today? 22nd of March, 2021. Don't need that to be, none of this needs to be italicized. Okay, there we go. So that's how we would do works cited for like that, for example. You would do the same thing for any academic article, the author's name, the title, where you got it, right? The actual URL, and then the access date. It's the same thing for everything. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. All right, thanks. Bye.